And I quote from him, "This is not a sex worker. This is a fucking magician," is a quote from him on this podcast.
Okay,
so he was so enamored by the fact that this happened
that he believed it to be magic.
Yes, and he wanted to explore it further as an artist.
Know how anatomy works?
Apparently not.
Magic, bro. Do you know how it works? It's fucking magic.
Welcome to episode 195 of the Emergent Gamer Podcast. This is your host, Lock In Key, here with a great group of guys.
A group of guys.
Hell yeah, we are.
Group of guys here. I got Trip Zero. What's up, Trip?
What's up, guys? How you doing?
We have a special guest here this evening. We got Mr. Diamond Jab here with us this evening.
Woo.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
What's up, Diamond? We also have the one and only Mr. Felix Hergood.
Felix Hergood.
What's going on, Felix? And then the producer himself. We have Neo Aoshi. What's going on, buddy?
What up, you guys?
What's up? What's up, everybody? How you guys doing?
Good, man. Good, man. Thanks for asking. So we're going to talk about a few different things tonight. We have some big news that has happened throughout the week here. 3 pretty big news articles that we're going to kind of unpack piece by piece after catching up with everybody. We're going to be hitting the Bungie and Activision split and be breaking that down. We're going to be talking about the drama cloud that's surrounding Gearbox and their executives. And we're also going to be talking about EA and their canceled Star Wars game and what this means for the IP. And our thoughts around that. But let's kind of get into what we've been up to for this past week. Neo, I'm gonna start with you because I know you said you didn't have too much you wanted to dive into. What have you been up to this past week?
I decided I am going to be doing a full push on Red Dead as much as possible.
Okay.
Full push.
So I'm into like chapter 4 now. I think I'm like either midway or late into that chapter now. It is. Damn, guys, that's a beefy game. That is a very, very long game.
Has anybody here actually finished it? Have you finished it, Felix? Diamond Jab?
Yeah.
You finished it?
Yeah.
Oh, man. How long did it take you?
Yeah.
I think my save file is at 44 hours.
Okay.
Is where it's at right now, so it's not too bad.
It's a good round number.
The majority of the extra like side stuff. There's probably a bunch of stuff I missed. I don't think I did any of the Strangers and Freaks at all. So
Gotcha.
If I would have gotten sidetracked on a multitude of different things, I spent most of my extra time just opening up the map.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm just hitting. I'm not doing like any like hunting side stuff. I'm not doing any like fishing. I'm not doing any of those activities. I'm just doing the white and yellow bubbles in the order that I think that they're the most important one. I'm doing last because if that's like a big chapter turning event, I'll
Yeah, you don't want to like lose out on something before progressing.
Yeah, because I really like the way Rockstar does all their character moments, like all their little quirky people that exist in the world. It's just it's just fun to like watch Arthur interact with the world. So that's where I'm going to be putting my focus on the gameplay. Other than that, I'm just chilling playing that and playing a lot of Smash Brothers. That game is a lot of fun. We got a nice group of lads that are playing. And there's a tournament this weekend that I'm very excited to partake in. And hopefully I'll take home the gold.
I like your use of the word lads.
The lads and lasses. Yes, thank you. Yeah, I think I'm a contender. I think I got this. Like, and I'm not like saying, oh, I'm like so good at this game, but like,
You're good at this game?
But I'm good at this game.
amongst the lads, you got a good chance.
Amongst the lot, yeah. I'm very upset that I have no way to wire my system because I'm not hardwired to my house, and my system is all the way in the other. Like, my router is like all the way in there, and my system's here. So it's like, what am I going to do about it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
that's tether. You're going to be all right.
I'll be fine. I'm sure I'll be fine. But yeah, that's all I've been up to. I just really want to finish Red Dead. That is like my main goal. There's a snowy weekend this weekend. So
I
I'm
just heard about that.
Yeah,
man.
I'm gonna
really
be at work.
excited.
That'll be fun. Can't
So-
wait to be at work while it snows.
I'm gonna be in my jammy jams, and I'm gonna try and knock out some Red Dead. And I'm sorry about
awesome,
you
man.
guys working, so that sucks.
It's really just I don't know about the other guys, but it's okay.
I'll be
It's okay.
working. I got a couple frames to get through, probably. But,
All right, whoever's next.
Dig. What if Felix, tell us about what you've been up to?
Well, okay. So I really want to finish Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Right.
Hell yeah.
It's huge, but
Huge.
I've hit
Huge.
huge. I hit the level cap of 70, and I'm pretty excited that the Legend of the First Blade things came out because they added new perks. But they now have this thing called mastery levels, which are it's your ability to still achieve ability points after you hit the 70 cap. So I've been trying to achieve those, and I think I'm on mastery level 3 now. As well as like trying to open up the map, and I'm going to eventually finish the story. I'm only on part 5 of the story.
Oh wow. Oh yeah. So this is
Holy
you
shit.
catching up with your level because you just like outpaced the story of the game.
I mean, I stopped playing the story like months ago.
So wait, what have you been doing in the game if you weren't doing the story? Just side. There's like that much side stuff to do.
Yeah, contracts, grinding levels, finding icons on the map, that kind of shit.
Oh damn.
You've just been kind of just doing where the world takes you.
Yeah, I got my ship maxed out. I got
What do
my
you
gear maxed
What do you call your
out.
playthrough? You call your playthrough like a proximity playthrough.
Proximity playthrough. Yeah,
Do-
I'm not.
what does that
really
mean?
So much, you just play what's next to you. And
Oh
just keep-
cool. I see.
Each
I see.
time, each time you do something, you move to the next thing nearest you.
Going with the flow, like no
I'm not.
other.
I'm not doing that as much anymore because that resulted in me playing a bunch of like really, really worthless missions over and over again. And I did that for like 4 or 5 days, and I was like, God damn it, I got to stop playing these missions. They're not giving me the kind of XP I need. So I stopped that. But other than that, Elsewhere was announced today, and I pre-ordered that. That's a part of Elder Scrolls Online. Elsewhere is just a new section of Tamriel, so I'm excited about that when that comes, and that's coming with a new character class. You can now play as a necromancer in Elder Scrolls Online.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's my
So-
favorite class.
That'll be pretty
Of
exciting
classes.
to explore.
Yeah, that's your
when
Diablo
that-
class.
Yeah.
Bingo.
I don't know how that's going to work in the meta of like doing dungeons or whatever. I don't know, what is a necromancer generally considered? Is that like some kind of like
Like raising and controlling the dead, like that kind of magic.
no, but
Maybe
like,
some curses or poisons.
No, I know that. I'm not talking about the skills. I'm talking about like when you go and do a MMO dungeon. There's always like healer and
like
I'm
what
gonna assume it's
role
a
would
it's a
this
damage
DPS.
class. I'm gonna assume a damage
you're gonna
class.
say it's a damage class.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
In vein with like mages. Like it's very much like a mage like class.
Yeah,
Right,
you wouldn't
right.
be healing. I don't think. with
BT,
that.
yeah, it would be DPS.
Yeah,
Sure.
the right now I have a tank character and I have a healing character. So if it's a I don't know what it would be, but like I don't want to double up. I
Those
wanna
two
have-
classes in MMOs always the best for getting groups because you're always needed in that role. Damage is like a dime a dozen. It's always about the them heals and tanks.
Yeah, because everyone wants to do a damage class, but I mean, I don't really have a well, a tank is supposed to absorb damage, right?
Correct.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah. So the one class I don't have is a damage dealing class, so I might as well, if that's what a necromancer is going to be, I might as well set one
Yeah,
up.
that'd be cool.
So, yeah, that'd be fun. And then lastly, I finally took Locke's advice and I played Gree. So
What
I
were your
bought it.
thoughts?
$16. How long is it? Is it long? Like we only played
No.
about 2 hours of it, I guess.
Yeah, I think what did I say my save file was, Neo? It was like
6
You
hours
said
maybe.
4, 6, something like that.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of Journey. It reminds me a lot of what was that game you mentioned?
Ori and the Blind Forest.
No,
Monument Valley.
Monument Valley. It's like a Monument Valley combined with Journey type thing.
Yeah.
But the art style is gripping, and so
Yeah.
is the music. The music is outstanding. So I really enjoyed that. And then the other thing we did today, and I didn't even realize this, I may have mentioned this game a long time ago. I downloaded a game called Ruiner from Devolver.
I
Oh,
remember.
yes.
Both of these games are Devolver digital. Gree and Ruiner are Devolver digital. I didn't realize. I thought that was just like a stick shooter where you just play level after level stick shooting. It's a full blown RPG. I got past the prologue, and I'm in like a town, and I'm like talking to people like RPG style.
Okay. Okay.
I didn't even realize, getting quests from people. I had no idea Ruiner was like so involved. So I figured that out today on stream. And
What kind of style gameplay is it?
well, it is a stick shooter, meaning when you go into
You thought it was very
action,
like surface level.
I thought it was surface level, like you get to the end of a board, there's nothing more, and then you move into the next board. But when I got to the end of the prologue, I was in a town, like a cyberpunk town, and there were all these people, and it was like, get this person and unlock this gear, and like there's this huge tech tree for unlocking shit, and I didn't know any of that was in the game.
That
So
sounds pretty awesome.
I completely misunderstood what that game was made for.
Is it on Switch?
I don't think it is.
I don't know.
Looked it up today. I think it's
Hold,
only
please.
on. I think it's only on PlayStation, Xbox, and Windows. So
Okay.
I don't think it's on Switch. But yeah, that's it. That's what I've been up to.
Very cool.
Very nice. Very nice. Who wants to go next? Diamond, Trip? Either one of you guys want to hit what you've been up to?
I can go real fast.
Yeah.
First, answer your
Looking
question.
for
It's
Ruiner.
under the coming soon area of Devolver Digital.
For
Oh,
Switch.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay, cool.
So what I've been up to this week, as you guys are aware, developer Bungie, they've done the Halo franchise, released Halo in 2001.
What's that?
They have another franchise called Destiny. I've been spending this past week kind of diving into that.
Destiny.
A
Got
little bit
it.
more.
Check.
What's
One of the
that?
hardest things to keep a straight face for
Yeah.
in my entire life. I almost cracked during
Is that
explaining
like
Bungie.
an RTS? That's like a real time strategy.
Yeah,
it's
it's like a Halo Wars
Metal
kind of thing.
Slug.
Is that
It's
anything like
a
Marathon?
scrolling- Yeah. Like a Ninja Gaiden.
It's like FIFA, right? It's like
Definitely like
FIFA, right?
FIFA elements in the Ninja Gaiden kind of side
Okay, cool.
scrolling, element.
So
Shooting
I
aliens
don't know
and
if we're
shit
gonna.
with
I don't know
everyone
if we're
again.
going to get to this in the news point. We probably won't. What are your? Because I actually haven't talked to you about this. What are your individual thoughts on Niobe Labs? Like, how do you feel? Because that technically
That's a
was
good
a big
question.
thing. Still, like we might not necessarily hit it specifically because it's kind of
True.
nitty gritty. We might hit it on that bonus episode we
Yeah.
want to do. But
It's
like,
good.
what are your thoughts of the release structure of Niobe Labs? Like how it played out? Like what are you thinking about it?
I've got some thoughts.
What
I think
is Niobe Lab?
I knew it. Read your mind, Felix. I got you. I'll feed you baby
Thanks.
birds. Don't worry.
Thanks, bud.
Niobe Labs was how Bungie planned to introduce the final forge of their newest content drop. And the forges are a staple of this new faction that was introduced called the Black Armory. Kind of like a hidden, regular human-focused weapon foundry. And you were activating these forges around different destinations. The fourth forge was locked behind this facility that was called Niobe Labs. All throughout the Black Armory, the guns that you could create with these, certain guns in certain areas revealed certain symbols. Different sites showed different styles of symbols, and through the weeks as people crafted these guns and kind of compared notes, this is what Reddit is just built for.
Hive mind.
Yeah, through all the different secrets Destiny has had, there's this community called Raid Secrets that really solves a lot of raid problems. It figured out like Whisper of the Worm back in Warmind, like the secret hidden mission that popped out, like stuff like that. It's like what Reddit is just, they hone in on and solve really well. All of these different guns and symbols put together created this crazy riddle that hit on so many aspects of real life history and research that was needed to be done outside of the game, and like translating different languages and looking at old like ancient sword artifacts to look at jewel patterns to uncover like a cipher decryption key, like real intense fucking national treasure type shit. Like this shit was deep. And all you really got for it, yeah, we gotta say the decoration. All you really got for it were some emblems. Like every forge had a special emblem that could drop from it. Until Niobe Labs came out. Now, Diamond was with me day one of Niobe Labs. So was Andy. Andy's here hanging out as well. We all three of us dove into this, hoping to just get through it and unlock it. And it became this world's first race that became the longest event that's ever happened in Destiny that's gone unsolved. So much to the point that Bungie activated the 4th forge manually.
Well, go into like why they did that, because
Oh
like
no, I will for sure.
streamers were like gonna kill themselves. They were like,
This
yeah,
this event touched on all of those different puzzles and riddles and things that you learned because you needed to use these guns to see all of these hidden symbols that were around this entire lab area, and you had to figure out the order in which to shoot these things. And you had not just symbols, but you had a like a keypad of letters too. So like words were a possibility at some point. You had to stand on plates and shoot other symbols, and there was very little to go on other than some hidden runes, like European Norse runes were hidden on the way into the main room. And then every time you entered a code, you fought a wave of ads of enemies that came in. Like some real intense, like real heavy hitting boss type stuff. And then these monitors in the room would show you a clue, and then you had like 30 seconds to input the proper like entry. So there were 7 levels total. It took people, I think, 39 hours, 29, maybe 29 hours. Anyway, like it just didn't, like nothing got solved. Bungie activated it on their own. Part of the problem with why it didn't get solved is because you couldn't try to input the sequences all in a row. If you died or wiped, you started at the very beginning of the entry sequence again. And that eventually ended up to like a 15 to 20 minute slog to get back to another attempt at maybe the final entry, only to have it just be entirely lost. And part of the problem on this was that the last riddle, the last like hint on the screen, was apparently missing some text that would give it some context. So there were, I think, problems with how you did the event, like not having checkpoints was a major problem in this.
Yep.
Even a checkpoint halfway through would have been so beneficial to let people iterate different solutions. Obviously, fatigue, like not having clarity as to what the solutions needed in terms of like weapons, like the final solution needed guns that you never used throughout the entire activity up to that point. So they handled the implementation of this event, I think, really poorly. I think it was great for Destiny as a whole because you're trying new things and you really, really went onto this like crazy deep end of puzzle and community engagement. They wanted to have an event that was solely solved on the community and with the internet and helped by streamers, of course, but like the heroes are us, right? We're the ones that are solving these puzzles, and we're not going to get through it unless we just put our minds together. So that aspect of it is really cool. But they swung and missed real hard on having this as an in-game activity.
Do you personally think this was just like a failed attempt at doing their usual Bungie thing to, add a new kind of event that makes the community do like, oh, we got to solve this raid. We have to race to the finish. Was this another like attempt of them to be like, okay, we're going to try another Whisper of the Worm style thing?
I think it was, but I think the reason why it failed is because the Whisper of the Worm and another very popular quest with Outbreak Prime. I know I think it's Diamond's favorite gun from D1.
Yeah.
Were found as extra content. The reason why this wasn't successful is because it was put on the roadmap as like a piece of content versus like it could have been rolled out as the Forge being the content, and someone
like a side piece being Niobe
stumbles
Labs.
upon
Yeah.
a door through Niobe Labs that leads to a 7-stage puzzle, right? Like that. I think that's the big mistake
that's a big
here.
part of it, of course.
I think
because,
I do think they were trying to create another community driven event, like a secret event that people come together to figure out that leads to something great. But I think I would agree with Trip that I think it was a pretty big swing and a miss.
I mean, having the tryhards get through this real dense puzzle and then like helping if you want to or reading about it if you're interested, that's one thing. But having that gate actual content is where you draw the line, and that's where people's patience wears thin very quickly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think there are two thoughts to Niobe Labs, and like I was more interested in watching people's reactions after Trip and Andy and I just kind of said, all right, we're gonna kind of back out of this. I was more interested in people's reactions, and the two reactions I saw were people on one side that said this is a terrible event, like it's not Destiny, it's a whole different thing, like it just doesn't fit what they're doing. I saw someone say after it was opened, like, I would have been super frustrated to go through 7 levels of a puzzle only for the Forge to be on the other side. Like, Niobe Labs didn't really reveal anything other than the Forge, which was the goal in the first place. And then I saw this other side in which people were saying, you know, it's a community event, it's wonderful to see, like they're trying new things, kind of what you were saying. And I think the reality of Niobe Labs falls in the middle. I don't know if I would call it a community event because it's a bunch of streamers that are playing it and everyone researching it. The community event would be everyone pooling into playing the game to open up the door. Like, an example I heard was gathering materials and having all of that be tracked over the time frame, so it requires an in-game participation rather than some type of external participation. I don't know if that consists as a community event more than it consists as just community participation.
Yeah, it was a Reddit event, and then people
Yeah.
that were still awake and alive to iterate a new solution event.
But I think the other side of it is, like, to your point about, like, to your point of Whisper of the Worm, the reason I'm okay with Niobe Labs, and the only issue I have really is just the clues. The clues were my problem. Playing against the ads wasn't the problem. The ambiance and environment was the problem. It was the fact that the last clue was unsolvable, and they had to put it out there at, like, one final clue that made it blatantly obvious to Reddit to figure out what it was. That was kind of the issue. I think it's a success in a standpoint that I would rather see someone fail putting something out there than put out what, you know, Izanami was, which was part of the grind, but it took people 8 hours out of the day to complete, which was
that was an entire day stream opening up that Forge
to what they had gotten before.
Right.
So, like, I'm okay with it, but I think the answer falls in the middle. This idea that it was entertaining to play, it was fun to try to figure out. Like, we ended up figuring out one of the puzzles on our own. Everything else was just, we were following the leader at that point, which is just not, it's a weird, like, the best way I heard it is that this event, unless you are like a Reddit raid secrets guy, this event is not really for you. Like, eventually you're going to go, look, this isn't my cup of tea, I'm going to go do something else. I'd be interested to see if this came out Destiny Year 1, what the reaction would be to it. When there isn't anything else to do and you're grinding away at this.
I'd be curious, Felix. So if you, let's insert, like, take Destiny out of the equation really quickly, like, as a gamer, if you were playing Red Dead, like, you beat Red Dead's DLC rolls out, right? It's, let's say it's 5 new story missions, right? Sure. To get to the 5th story mission, to get to the culmination, let's say you have to, you know, complete this step that essentially locks you out of that story mission, right? Like, you can't progress through the story before you beat that step. Do you, as a gamer, feel slighted that you aren't able to get all of the DLC that you intended to get with your purchase? Or do you just see that as a necessary step of the content?
Well, if it was something that I couldn't solve on my own, I'm basically, you know, railing on Twitter at them.
Right. So if the game itself doesn't do a good enough job of teaching you,
right? I blame games all the time.
I know you do.
Level design.
Can I add some quick context to that?
Please do.
Felix, our experience with Splinter Cell, the Splinter Cell mission
in Ghost Recon,
that was free. That wasn't even paid for.
It
was
free.
And we couldn't figure it out.
It wasn't that we could. It wasn't that we couldn't figure it out. It was just all of them. Every single free. They offered this content for free, and every single one that's come out, it's been super hard if you don't have a full squad of 4 people who are all communicating well.
Yeah, I think the other thing, and we can move on because we'll kind of pick this apart in a future episode. But the other reason why it's getting torn apart is because the reason why the raids are so successful is because it's a culmination of mechanics that you learn over the course of time that leads to a fight where you've learned how to play by playing. You've learned how to beat it by playing, right? And I think that's to your point, Felix. Like the level design needs to be good enough to where you're getting to that puzzle, and it may be difficult to beat, but you know how to beat it, right? Or you have a
Everything is
sense of
trained
know how to beat it, right?
Yeah,
From
it feels
beginning to
really.
end, yeah.
It's really rewarding when you have a tool chest that you've built up over a course of playing a game,
Right.
and when you can use the tools in your tool chest to like win.
And I would say that's probably like the same for
Well
games like
said.
Celeste, right, Neo? Like in
Oh, yeah.
Celeste, I'm sure like you learn how to get better as you progress. And I heard them talking about this on
That's free on the live account, by the way.
Yeah, I don't
on
have that
Xbox.
anymore, but people have been telling me because I keep talking about buying it.
on sale, dude. What are you doing?
Fire Team Chats was talking about this previously. I just lost my train of thought. Fire Team Chats was talking about the raid, and they were talking about like the reason why we also like puzzles is because we like to shoot aliens, and we like it to be like a puzzle mixed with the shooting of aliens. And this was so heavy on like the mythology and the symbols, and it just didn't do a good job of building.
Dude, they
that.
spent like fucking 12 hours on like a forest in
Right.
like King Arthur lore.
And they also put it.
They
They also put it. What game did you play, Trip? Was it The Witness? They also described it to The Witness, where like if you try and do the end puzzle at The Witness first, you're looking at this thing like what the
idea.
What the fuck is this?
No fucking
But
clue.
through the course of the game, you learn the languages and the mechanics and the puzzles, and you get to that last one, and it may be difficult, but you know you're looking at it through a different lens.
I mean, any good game will do that. It will slowly
Correct.
roll out its tools in front of you, and then you learn to adapt it.
Stacks all that context and then gives you like the final challenge that combines all of those things. Any raid boss in any of the raids we've done has had stacking mechanics where you do everything you've done previously and also
Correct.
shoot the thing.
Yeah,
Correct.
like level 6 of this was literally found out by someone like, fuck it, I'm gonna shoot the trees a bunch of times on the wall, and that unlocked level 7. Like the person that figured that step out literally did not do it from any clue. They did it out of frustration, and it happened to be right.
Yeah.
Like that shouldn't be the case.
I think the thing to I don't know if it's a direct comparison in that sense, because the linearity of the game allows you to experience those things. We were in Niobe Labs, and I said to Trip, I've gotten none of the emblems. So I don't know. I had no idea I could look through the viewfinder and even see things to begin with.
Yeah.
Let alone have done the combinations to even get the emblems.
Yeah, we
Destiny's
had to,
a
like-
different beast entirely.
Yeah.
That there are some players that have no idea these emblems exist.
We had to
they
like
proactively went and got them.
level set this knowledge as a team before we really got into it so we could understand the context of what they might be hinting at. That's the thing. It was still a might. You know, we're like, we did this thing. Maybe it's similar. We can start here and go from there. You know, like they did this kind of puzzle. It was a cipher. Maybe this is a cipher. And those were the ways you had to think about it. But again, it's all outside knowledge you had to bring in. And then if you weren't right there with it, you had to research and look things up and bring that into the experience.
So I think this kind of leads to the first news point of Bungie and Activision. We might as well hit that while we're here. So I think there's something in what we're talking about right now that I want to get back to specifically when we get there through the course of the conversation, because I feel like we're going to. So I'm going to pause on it for a second. But news came out this week that a mutual split, a divorce, so to speak, of the Activision and Bungie
Pop the
deal
champagne bottles, y'all.
has happened.
I really wish I have a bottle right now, dude.
I know, right?
It was first. The news was first broken by Jason Schreier, correct?
Yeah.
He tweeted
He
it
like
out.
a real like secret.
He
Been thinking about this little point of.
Yeah, he tweeted earlier that day. He was like, I've been thinking about this quote, and he quoted when the earnings call came up for Activision, and they were like, oh, we weren't really that happy with Forsaken's launch. We didn't re-engage the full core of players. And then Bungie was like, no. We're really happy with everything that's going on. Players are loving Destiny more than ever right now. That's what Bungie came out and said.
Luke Smith, the director, had to be like, we love this. We love you guys.
Mhm.
Nothing's changing.
Yep. And then shortly thereafter, you get a public statement from Activision, public statement from Bungie, and then, trickle in Twitter feeds from there from different employees of Bungie and things like that. So this is huge news for gaming as a whole, because realistically, besides franchises being devoured, right? Like, I feel like Bungie is one of the few developers that has done this already,
Mhm.
and is probably one of the few developers that has ever done this at all, and they've done it twice now, right? They started
The only
with
other one I can think of is IO Interactive.
IO, right?
Yeah.
And they talked about that in Fireteam chats with
Mhm.
Hitman. So that's it. This has happened maybe 3 times.
Are you
And
saying where they keep their IP, where they keep the kids?
Yes.
Well,
Separation?
not even the IP, because Bungie did not get to keep Halo, right? When
Right.
Bungie left Microsoft, they didn't bring Halo with them. They were like, we're not liking this relationship anymore. We want to do something different. That's when they leave Microsoft. They formulate a 10-year deal with Activision, which at the time was fucking crazy that this was happening, right? Like a 10-year gaming
know.
deal for this huge visionary thing, right?
Side note: Are we considering this 8 years into the deal, which includes development time, or are we considering this 5 years into the
That's
deal,
what
which is
the
actual
article
launch
says.
game time?
I think
I think it was till 2020, was it not, the deal? Because didn't it start in 2010?
correct.
Okay, so it would have
Yeah.
been development time included.
It's based on the contract. Yeah.
Yeah. So it wasn't, they didn't fulfill the 10 years. We're 8
Yeah,
years into the contract.
Bungie
right?
said, "We have enjoyed a successful 8-year run and would like to thank Activision for their partnership in Destiny." Is what one of their quotes say.
Yeah, so this is big for the industry, like I said, because this isn't something that happens a whole lot. That a developer leaves a major publisher, especially Activision, right? The publisher that counts money better than any other publisher, right, alongside EA. So, what are your guys' thoughts overall about the split? Whether it be about the game itself or what it speaks to for the industry at large.
I'm sure you guys have a lot more to say, but I'll just chime in real quick saying that I think this is great for anyone who loves Destiny. They get to keep their IP and they get to continue to work on their games. My question would be, are they just going to be self-publishing now? Is that how that's going to work? Like, my question is, what does the future look like going forward?
Yeah, of course.
I don't know if they've like particularly addressed it yet, because they said, hey, look, Forsaken, we're still on our DLC path right now. Like they nothing's changed with that. So like that's cool. But like, what does Destiny 3 look like? What is the future of Bungie look like? Throwing this piece of information in there, a few months ago they had a deal with NetEase, a Chinese, I want to say, publisher, for like this, like I'm just gonna throw this number out there. It's like $100 million or something. It's like $100 million deal.
Million.
Oh, cool. I got it. So like, what does that mean? Like, is that giving them enough of I want to say a funding to continue to pursue more Destiny and this other IP that NetEase wants? Like, what is that going to look like too?
Yeah,
those are big questions I have.
It's going to be an interesting few weeks, few months as more information comes out. I would definitely agree. Diamond, what were you going to say? Because there's something that I want to bring up to your point, Neo, really quickly. I want to play devil's advocate on it in a minute. But what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, I think overall, I think it's a win-win for both. Activision saw, based on the earnings report, that Destiny wasn't bringing in what they thought, so Activision decided to go one way. I think for Bungie, it can be perceived in a couple different ways. Like, you own your product, but the thing I said the moment it happened is, if something bad happens, there's no one to turn to. You can't look at High Moon Studios. You can't look at Visceral Game, or not Visceral,
Vicarious.
Vicarious,
Visceral,
and go, oh man, well, it's because this didn't work, or the sleeper nodes are stupid, or whatever the case may be.
Yep.
So the spotlight falls directly on them, which I think they're okay with, but that's just something.
Yeah, I think Trip, what were you going to say? But I'll let you go before I go.
I'm not going to dive in too deeply off of Diamond or you, because I know you guys were going in different directions. But like, to that note, yeah, we lose access to Vicarious. Vicarious did Warmind development. They did Forsaken development. They did the PC port. So like a lot of great things that Destiny has, we don't have access to, or Bungie doesn't anymore in terms of development.
I did not realize that at all.
They strictly did the PC port.
Yeah,
like our PC play is because of them.
Wow.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, and I think Diamond brings up an important point, and I think Neo brings up an important point, and I'm gonna counterplay it for a second. I would totally agree with Diamond that there's no one else to blame, and I think right now it is very easy to blame Activision for all of the bad things, right? Because they're the boogeyman, right? But Activision didn't cause Niobe Labs. Activision didn't cause Curse of Osiris, right? Maybe they caused the development cycle, right? Which overall plays a huge role in what the content we get. But the story, the missions, the strikes, the decisions to core gameplay, I think we jumped the gun when we immediately blamed the publisher, because it's easier to blame them than blame the guys that we love, the Bungie crew, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's a little naive to think, and even this is even for EA as well, right? Like I want us to consider how much control do they really have over the decisions that are made to development in game, or were they more concerned with schedules, Eververse, right? The cash flow.
I
So
think
that's
we will for sure in the next bunch of months see how that works for them.
Yeah.
We'll see examples like happen in real time of how Bungie can act on their own when they don't have the looming shadow that is Activision.
Yeah, I just think I think we're a little harsh on that exact scenario of the looming shadow of Activision. I think we make assumptions sometimes about that.
Yeah.
That like they caused the problems, and I don't want to say that they're the saints in this story, right? But I think like I don't think anyone at Activision was like, oh, no, you can't make this great DLC called Curse of Osiris. Make this Curse of Osiris instead. Like no one was doing
but like
that, right? So
time pressures and all other factors go into
You're
that.
right.
Like Activision saying, "Hey, we gave you this budget. Where's our DLC?" Like,
Well, I think this is where, like, because the time pressure is an interesting one. There are two assumptions. One assumption is that Activision plays a role in the development. The other assumption on the back end is that Bungie, we are assuming that Bungie is in a position that they can handle this. They wouldn't have left or agreed to leave if they didn't feel like they couldn't handle it.
True.
I think in terms of the time pressure, I don't know if that. I'd be interested to see if that holds up, because we now have two post-base game development styles that they've released. They did Warmind Curse of Osiris as pure DLC, and now they have the annual pass.
correct.
So there are two separate styles of releasing that content. The annual pass seemingly has been a little more accessible to fans enjoying it, so that might be the way the long-term aspect of it goes. But I'm interested to see, because I think with it being an annual pass now, I don't know if they have to worry about that time pressure, or if the annual pass was even their idea to begin with, and they don't want to do that at all. We have no idea of what their standard is.
Right. I think we would all agree, and when I play devil's advocate, I would agree that the split is a good thing. Anytime a developer gets to regain access of their IP and do what they want with it, I think creatively it is going to be the best decision the best outcome overall. I just want to backtrack a little bit, because I think we're level-headed business people that can understand the role that Activision may or may not have played.
well, going forward, any Curse of Osiris going forward will be on them. So
sure,
that's we'll see.
You're right.
We'll see in that case.
You're right. I think the yearly. Activision's on a yearly thing, right? Like we want major content to be recycled, launched out every year. That's how our games function. Call of Duty, fucking FIFA, or whatever, with EA doing their FIFA stuff, right? It's like they're on yearly development cycles, churning out. We may see content droughts, right? We might not get a year 3 post that one season. We may not see something for another 6 months, because Bungie may say, no, we've slowed down development to give you another Forsaken style major DLC launch, because now we're not on a timeline that we were required to meet before with Activision. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out, and what they share with us, if they're very transparent about what roadmap looks like past, the last season of the annual pass. But I would agree, I would hope that they made this decision to separate because they have a plan, that they're not just gonna, wing it from here to see what happens, because that wouldn't be so smart. What were you gonna say? You had your hand up.
You pretty much hit it right at the end. Just the caution that we're very optimistic, and we should be, because I think the creative control that they have and a little bit more freedom in terms of making this stuff is really the most important part of the story. But they're on a breakneck pace in terms of content right now. And while, to your point, Diamond, they wouldn't have made this decision if they weren't 100% sure that they could absorb it and correctly do it, it might mean some changes for what we get. I mean, the whole, like, Black Armory is not even done in terms of content. And this is like 2 or 3 months worth of gameplay time. We've had more in this than we ever had during an entire, like, half year of Curse of Osiris.
Yeah, and I
Who knows
I
if
would
they can
agree.
sustain that going
Yeah.
forward, because
And
maybe
I-
they're gonna have to split people off to work on more live support or rolling out, new delivery methods if the Blizzard launcher goes away one day.
Yeah.
Who knows?
That's
'Cause people were-
that's
you
a
know, like,
question I
this-
have too about that. What's going to happen with that?
I don't. Yeah, and this was speculating a
said
lot
that
on Reddit.
It won't change now. Whatever.
Like,
that
people are
means.
like, oh, they're going to develop their own platform, and I'm like, no, they're not. Like,
They don't have time for that.
like they don't have time for it. Like, look at fucking Uplay. Look at Origin. Like, look how long it took Steam to be Steam,
Mhm.
right? Like,
Steam is still
you
fucking
can't just launch like.
twigs and branches together.
Yeah, and like
dude.
now, maybe they go Epic. Maybe they strike a deal with Epic for the PC platform. You never know, right? Who knows? Fucking Fortnite taking over the world. But like, here's the thing that I don't think people are considering a whole lot. I saw some people talking about it on Twitter and Reddit. Like, they were like, oh yes, no more microtransactions. Like, free the microtransactions, dude. There's going to be more microtransactions.
Yeah.
They got
Yeah.
a fun.
There's no they have no way to make physical copies of their games. All of their marketing, all of the brand recognition, everything that Activision paid for is now gone.
Yep.
And they
It's
have
more
to
important
make
than ever
it
now. Yeah.
and do it all.
I went
and
down.
And it's going to mean that someone buying an annual pass is not enough cash flow and capital to keep them running. They're going to throw everything at Eververse. So,
Dude, you're-
you
Your advertising, like, throughout right there is so funny. I went down this rabbit hole the other night on, like, pre-Destiny 1 launch advertisements. Like,
Mhm.
there was a Jon Favreau directed, starring Giancarlo Esposito commercial where he's reading a storybook to his child in the city with the Traveler behind him about the Guardians. And like,
Really?
and there's
What?
the trailer. Yeah, I'll send you guys the links. There's the trailer with like the live action Guardians, like to Led Zeppelin.
I
As they're,
remember
like,
that. I remember that.
Mm.
Yep.
just, like zooming around the planets and shit. And,
Oh, I love
and-
that. Yeah, it was a good one.
Dude, it's so good. It's so well done. But like, Bungie's not going to be shooting these movies, getting their game like promoted.
that
They're
shit
not going to
is
have time or
over.
money for that. Yeah.
Right. So I think, while creatively and maybe they get to make the game that they've always wanted to make, fucking almost 10 years into it, but I just think there are some serious drawbacks from leaving, the pockets of Activision. There's
Sure,
definitely
absolutely.
pros for sure. And I'm excited for us to keep up on this story as more, information comes out, because I think over the course of this next year, we're going to learn a whole lot about what Bungie is going to do. Bungie, the indie developer now, right? We're going to find out what they're going to be doing, which is going to be super, super interesting. Cool. Any other final thoughts on Activision before we move over? Do you want to hit EA next, or do we want to go to Gearbox?
I say we do Gearbox next, just in case we go over too much time, because I feel like this is a crazy story.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I
let's do
know
it.
nothing about it. I wanted you to kind of tell it to me. I want to be here for the live reveal. So
Pull up a chair, Trip, because I'm going to take you down the rabbit hole that is Randy Pitchford. Are you ready? All right,
Ready.
so
Randy Pitchford was a young boy born in.
there's just FYI.
all right,
For the
cool.
dude- for the
Yeah,
dudes.
this will be good. So all right, let me take you back to 2014.
Take us back.
All right, so I want to say Borderlands 2 was coming out. This is like right after that, and there was a a lawyer who worked for Gearbox. All right, who was apparently using Gearbox funds to do things like buy guns and like personal arms and like a home loan,
Sure.
like a homeowning owner's loan, and he used funds to like get like do this like this workout regiment thing. Like he used all these company funds for this, and it racked up. I want to say, where does he, I'm looking at the article here. Does he have it?
I also have the article up, but it's gonna take me a minute to find.
Because
Total normal corporate card things. 100%,
yeah.
dude.
So this is where that started, and I believe one person sued the other person first. I think
They sued the lawyer first. The lawyer then sues the CEO.
then okay. So they sued the lawyer first, and then he comes back with a countersuit saying that he took Randy Pitchford took an executive bonus of $12 million of like personal Gearbox funds. So
That's a lot
right,
of supplements, dude.
I know.
That's a lot
So
of supplements.
now let me give you a little background on Randy Pitchford. Right, this is the brains behind
Wait, he took a personal bonus.
personal bonus of $12 million.
Never heard of such a thing before. But go ahead.
That's
Well, no,
It's not called a personal.
It's
It's
an,
not
it's,
called
an, it's an executive bonus.
executive
is what
bonus.
it's called.
Sorry,
Yeah.
this is
Gotcha.
wrong
Okay.
terminology. But he
Gotcha.
personally walked home with $12 million, I guess.
I was like, that just sounds like a bonus.
Yeah. So let me give you a little bit of background on Randy here.
Wait, hold on 1 second.
What's up?
The money went to an entity called Pitchford Entertainment Media Magic LLC.
So let me dive
Media
into that.
magic,
Let me
dude.
unpack
Media
that for
That
you.
is fake news.
So at Randy Pitchford's home, he has a theater built into his home called the Peacock Theater. Now he uses this theater for a very specific thing because he loves to perform magic, like straight up stage magic, gob.
I don't want to be
gob style.
anywhere that's
Fucking
called
stop.
Peacock anything.
So
That's
when
not his-
so when you call it the what did you call it, the
I hate
Magic
these.
LLC?
Pitchford Entertainment Media Magic LLC.
Yes. So that
That's
makes
an
a whole lot of
Theater,
sense.
by the way.
Featuring.
Exactly. So he loves
Pitchford the
magic.
Great.
Now, trust me when I say this comes into play into the story later, because I want to say about 4 months ago. I don't have an exact date here. He went into a, what are those called? The medieval times restaurants where they joust in front of you. You know, they do like the whole like show and dinner.
Yeah, I went there in high school.
So he left a USB drive in that place that had explicit company documents.
Why did you bring a USB drive to medieval times? It's medieval times. They don't have computers.
They don't have computers. He must have
Bro.
came right from work or
Bro.
something. There's any
You
reason
must
why you
use
could have a
no-
USB
You
drive.
don't, you don't
No
take your
wonder-
drives everywhere, dude?
No wonder Borderlands
got it on a
3 is taking
keychain?
so long. He's
Come on,
got
dude.
assets on USB drive.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Borderlands 3's on a
I carry
USB
a
drive
briefcase
somewhere.
full of USB
Come on,
drives
man.
everywhere I go.
So somebody found this drive, obviously, and figured out whose it was because of the nature of it. But also on said drive was pornographic material. And not just any
Sick.
pornographic material.
Cool.
This was in the lawyer's claim, in the suit's claim, it is underage pornography.
Not cool.
Not cool. I know. Here we go.
No.
This is the allegations, by the way. This isn't
Ugh.
proven yet. This is all
Gotcha.
in the allegations. So
Good.
in December, in middle of
Peacock
December,
Theater.
he went.
Peacock
Just keep
Theater.
it in mind.
Jesus fucking Christ, dude.
He went on an Ars Technica podcast. This is a geek tech blog.
Right.
And on this podcast, it was actually a magic focused podcast. That was like what the discussion was around. And
Ars Technica reporting on magic.
it's a thing, I guess. I never knew this. I
it.
might actually go
Media
listen to this.
magic. Media
So,
magic.
in this discussion, he actually, I believe this was to get ahead of the lawsuit going public, and he described what was on the flash drive and what he perceived to be magic. Now, I'm going to get very graphic here because it is important
Wait.
to his case.
Whoa. Say that again? What did you just say?
Go on. What did I say?
Perceived it to be magic?
He perceived it to be magic. I'm not wrong. This is exactly what he said.
So wait, hold on. I just want to make sure that I'm connecting the dots here.
Yeah.
He went on the podcast to explain that what was found on the flash drive he perceived to be magic, and what he perceived to be magic is
Was-
the child pornography.
Alleged to be the child.
Please let me continue. Let me continue.
Is that correct?
Okay.
Did
That-
I
yes.
connect the dots? Am I continuing?
Okay.
Am I understanding?
Yes, but you have to
Okay,
keep in
keep
mind that the suit is that's filed against him is because of underage pornography, not necessarily that it is underage pornography. If that makes sense.
It
That
does
is-
not. But keep
I
going.
think if you have to have a conversation whether it kind of is or it kind of is,
Let me.
you're already down the wrong fucking.
You're-
road.
you're
is he
totally
saying
right.
that- I think I remember.
You should let me finish.
Felix, are you
Go
okay?
ahead, go ahead.
You
Sorry,
should really let me
let's-
finish. I can't wait to hear what you have to say, Felix. I cannot wait.
Felix's brows are.
Because I am
are-
far from done in this. Because he described what it was, and I apologize that this is going to be a little graphic. It was a video of a 18-year-old cam girl, right? Is what the video was. This is what he's claiming. No one's seen this. That was doing a kind of a like she was squirting. It was the act of squirting. Okay,
Okay.
we're getting a little
You get all
mature
kinds of
here, guys.
Whatever you need on the
Go
Emerging
ahead.
Gamer podcast.
And he
we got it.
perceived this to be not just
We got
pornographic.
it all.
He perceived it to be actual magic, and he was very curious as a artist, as a magician, about the nature of this act that was being performed. That is his reasoning.
Okay, we don't need to get into this. Keep going.
No.
Okay.
Oh, so you don't need to go through the clarification? You don't need
No,
to.
no, no. I
I'm
was
just
going to
saying.
clarify, and then I realized what I was about to start talking about, and I realized that it doesn't really need to happen.
We're adding 10
All right.
minutes onto this podcast down a very specific
I mean,
road.
I'm
Yeah.
loving every second of it. So I'm talking about
sweating
this.
over here.
What are you sweating for? Are you
Yes.
feeling
I
uncomfortable?
think
Woo!
I know, right?
this story is just so hot.
This is-
another magic trick here on our webcams.
This is like a lifetime fucking movie.
So yeah, and I
Okay.
quote from him. This is not a sex worker. This is a fucking magician. Is a quote from him on this podcast.
Okay,
So he was so
all right.
enamored by the fact that this happened.
That he believed it
He
to be
was-
magic.
Yes, and he wanted to explore it further
Does
as
he
an artist.
know how anatomy works?
Apparently not.
So-
Magic,
so
bro.
according to
Do
this
you
claim-
do you know how it works? It's fucking magic.
He doesn't know.
Oh man. So yeah. So this month the lawsuit came out. I should add. I'm sorry. I skipped over something. Around
Oh, boy.
3 or 4 months ago, this is actually hot off the heels of one of Randy's assistants, personal assistants, embezzled money from Randy's personal funds over the course of months. This was a story that came out like 4 or 5 months ago, and this guy like stole millions of dollars from Randy and then like hightailed it out of there. He like got away. I believe he's caught now, but damn man, what a crazy amount of things to be surrounding the guy in charge of Gearbox.
So this guy's gonna run for president next, right? Pretty much.
I mean, obviously he's clearly ready for it, right? So I'm not holding my breath for Borderlands. That's all I'm saying because
God.
To bring it back to video games.
I'm bringing it back to
Borderlands.
video games.
Borderlands
Look,
We won't get any more Borderlands.
they mismanaged the funds from 21st Century Fox for the Alien Colonial Marines game, and they threw that all into Borderlands. Like they
What,
Big miss on-
what
I was
money
waiting.
from Alien Colonial Marine?
That's all I wanted. It's
Look,
the only game I wanted, dude.
21st Century Fox gave like they were publishing the game, right? So
Yeah.
they made a shit game. They outsourced the work and made Borderlands 2. That's like the
Alright.
background of Colonial Marines, kind of in a nutshell. So
I thought you meant money that they made from that game. I was
no,
like,
the money
I don't
that
think
21st
I don't think
Century
that's
gave
real.
them.
Yeah.
So what do you think, guys? Felix,
Look.
what do you
Yeah.
think?
What do I?
Actually,
what do I
whatever
think?
I gotta say doesn't matter. I want to hear what.
Your
I mean, I'm not
reactions,
gonna
please.
I don't think I'm going to say anything profound. I mean, the guy seems like a scumbag. I mean, what else should I say? You know, like,
Sure.
he's kind of stupid too, but he does make a point that, like, you know, this was in a time when they weren't encrypting their shit. I mean, things have changed dramatically.
This is like
First of all,
2 years
how,
ago.
How
4
do you
years
not?
ago.
How do you not?
I
And
don't know.
how hard is it to not?
Do you really think the
Any of that
CEO
shit. How
of
fucking
just
hard
about
is it to
any
not?
company is fucking disk encrypting their flash drives?
Right. No.
This is the same guy that on that with assets to a game put a cam girl porn on the same flash drive, and you think he's going to put disk encryption?
You never
Come on,
mix
the
the
dude
drives.
doesn't even
I
You
meant
never
to
mix the
run down to
drives.
Micro Center, pick up one just for the porn, and I couldn't get out in time.
The dude doesn't
I
even
was
have the
working-
sense of
I had
mind to
work
have
too
two
late.
separate drives. Come
Hey,
on
man,
now.
Can I just put something out there real quick?
Do it.
Please.
Yeah.
Why is my man downloading porn?
Yeah,
It was clearly magic.
Anywhere.
Why does anybody download it? I don't
The
understand.
the act of getting a video off of the internet into like
There's
your
so
pocket is
many
magic, dude.
steps.
It's magic.
Bro.
Magic.
But what about during internet outages? What about during
Yeah.
plane rides and car rides?
He needs hard copies.
Plane rides.
He needs hard copies. He needs
Man,
He
needs
needs,
it.
he needs hard copies, all right.
So this
And then
This
we,
was a-
we
was-
wonder why we don't have
Yo.
Borderlands 3.
What's he gonna do with all the VHS that he has?
that's a library in the Peacock Theater.
right. In the
Just-
God.
just-
Oh, I forgot about the Peacock Theater.
They,
I
talk,
Jesus.
they also talk
kept
about
forgetting about it.
they also talk about something in here called a peacock party.
Yeah, that's what
referring
he.
to the term as peacock parties, to which the lawsuit refers, and a sensational picture. Yeah, we don't want you to paint a sensational picture.
Peacock party.
No, here's what I'll
Hmm.
say. I think the only reason shit like this happens to an individual is they probably are a dick, like a complete dickhead. Like
Hot take.
nobody's gonna go out.
Probably.
No, but I'm saying like, okay, everything's on paper, whatever. One person's arguing against the other. The only reason this guy's getting all this shit is because he probably treated people poorly, and it led to a breaking point where people needed to get him on something.
You know what? I actually 100% agree with Felix.
Wow.
Yeah,
Because let's be honest here, right? If news came out that a CEO was watching porn, raise your hand if you would be surprised.
No, not very
Not-
surprised.
Nobody would be surprised. But if this dude is presenting himself in a certain way, now mind you, this is I'm taking the allegations at face value as what they are. They are allegations. Whether they're
Right.
true, whether they're not true, I have not seen it yet. But if that's the case, then that means people have a perception of him that they are willing
Right.
to go over this douchebag because of how he treats people. I'm assuming he treats people like shit.
Or that's what I'm saying. He was so bad at his job and so good at avoiding consequence that this little fucking love note or whatever, this flash drive came along.
Love
and
note.
somebody said, "This is it. This is our fucking chance. We got him on something." Like they probably have been trying to get him for years, and it's good they're finally getting him because he's probably just an asshole.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the fact that he owns porn is the problem. I think it's the fact that it's questionable as to how old the person was. That's a problem. It's a problem that it's combined with company documents. That's a problem.
It's a problem
And-
that he took a personal bonus of like what 16 million.
Yeah, all this is just a pattern of behavior to just a real piece of shit. Someone with
Yeah.
a lot of perception problems as to how they're allowed to exist in the world because of how they've been existing in the world. Now, are you saying, Felix, that you think someone like set him up because he went too far to some aspect? Like, is that
I'm not a. I'm
Well,
not
think about it this
going
way, because in the
conspiracy.
middle of that article, if I remember reading it correctly, the dude who finds the flash drive turns it into them in exchange for like cash and swag or some stupid shit like that. So they got the drive back, which means
Yeah.
if we're assuming this dude said nothing, the only other way it gets out is by Pitchford going on this podcast saying what's on the flash drive because he said it before the allegations even came out, and then someone released it afterwards.
Mhm.
You want to hear the real cherry on top of this whole thing?
what is the real cherry on top of this story?
Oh, you didn't know I had another like trap card in my back pocket, did you?
Rated by
The
Trap
voice
Card.
the voice actor of Claptrap, I don't
Mhm.
remember his name at the moment, but
Yeah.
the day that this news came out, he had one tweet that was all it just said it's all true.
Wow.
He's been to the Peacock parties.
And he hasn't responded since. He hasn't
Wow.
said anything else
Nope.
since.
Well, I mean,
Borderlands
Just-
3
he
is
just
down the
dropped
drain with
it.
that tweet. That shit is over.
Yeah. Now,
I
it's,
Whew.
now it's sad because this guy is actually he's got an interesting past because he did help usher the Half-Life games into the modern age. Like this is a guy who kind of who helped Half-Life and helped Valve in a way.
I don't care what he's done. I mean, if this is how he behaves, I got no remorse for this dude.
And
Enjoy
hell yeah.
whatever happens to you, man.
Burn him at the stake. No,
Well, I mean, it's a shame.
it's a shame. It is a shame.
It's a shame because this dude is directly attached to franchises that people love. And we are, if you are just a third party person standing on the outside without really any knowledge of the game industry, you are about to see how impactful one person can be to the existence of a franchise. Either not at all, or you are never going to see Borderlands 3 again.
I mean,
man.
people's not even their passions, but like the people's jobs that might be impacted by this that would have been developing this game. That's just like such an exercise in narcissistic activity to just not even consider any of that and
I mean, think about what this
live your fucking millionaire life.
This impacts stock in Take-Two. This impacts Take-Two's willingness to invest in Gearbox. Like it trickles down this one dude's actions, and it is going to impact anything you could potentially see going forward.
Do you think
Yeah.
we see him step down as CEO of Gearbox soon?
If he doesn't, he's going to get forced out. So,
Yeah,
I
he's
mean,
gonna be stepping down on a lot of things, a lot of rungs in life. I think CEO of Gearbox is
Yeah.
up first.
He's gonna have to close down the Peacock Theater.
Yeah, no more shows.
That might be
No
his
more
only form of
shows.
income.
Probably
Yeah,
have to get a new hard drive
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
some point, maybe.
Flash stick. What are you talking about? Hard drive.
Flat, yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't use a drive.
Hard drives.
He's using a jump drive.
Jump drive. Yeah.
Oh, I remember when they called him that.
My man's on a Dex drive, uploading his
Yeah.
saves to the internet from his N64.
Come on now.
Well,
What are we at time wise? We want to hit E EA.
Let's see.
I wanna hit-
Drum
oh,
roll,
I wanna hit
please.
EA,
We
all
are
right.
at- Oh, damn it! I stopped it and reset it when I showed VO last. That
Okay, that's fine.
was 39
probably
minutes.
15
40
minutes,
minutes.
so
That was
yeah.
40
Alright,
minutes.
let's-
in.
we got some time.
Let's hit
10,
EA really
15.
quick.
10, 15.
Yeah, let's hit EA really quickly. So, it came up that EA has canceled the open world Star Wars game that was in development, and this has caused some ripples. So, as we know, when EA closed Visceral Games, it was EA Vancouver, correct? They're the ones that took over the development.
picked it up, yeah.
So they picked up essentially the assets for the game that Visceral was working on, and they repurposed it, and they were developing a open world game based in the Star Wars universe, where I think you were playing as like a bounty hunter. It wasn't like traditional Jedi.
So
it was.
the Visceral game was going to be focused around like bounty hunter.
And I think this new one was too, was it not?
It's
So
possible.
Character-wise,
We-
yes.
so
but
we
the
are
type
under
of
the-
game was different.
we are under the assumption, according to the report, that this is the same project. EA Vancouver took the art assets from the linear game that Amy Hennig and Visceral were working on, and they turned it into an open world game.
Correct.
And
Okay.
now
That's
it
what I
is
thought.
saying that an open world Star Wars title at EA Vancouver has been canceled. If you're following the breadcrumbs,
Correct.
there's a potential to assume that it is the same project.
Mm.
Now
But we
it looks.
don't know for sure. I
If
guess,
it's the same
right?
game.
It's the
No.
yeah.
Unless they're working
The
on
according to the article, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
According to
I
the
mean-
article, it is. Yeah.
Unless they're working on 2 open world projects.
So the original project
Maybe,
was codenamed
maybe.
Ragtag, and then
Correct.
once EA Vancouver picked it up, they renamed it to Orca, Project Orca. So that was how that handoff kind of transition sort of happened.
Right now, the only thing in the pipeline for them is Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order from Respawn. Okay.
Yes.
Now this brings in an interesting conversation that the internet is talking about pretty passionately. That in the 6 years that EA has currently been developing, has had the Star Wars IP, they have released only 2 games. They have released Battlefront and Battlefront 2 with the deal with Disney. And it's been 6 years since they took over. And this has the internet very frustrated when they see news of the next game or a game that was being developed be scrapped and shelved. Now they did make a comment. They said that there's been speculation overnight about one of our Star Wars projects. As a natural part of the creative process, the great work by our team in Vancouver continues and will evolve into future Star Wars content and games. We're fully committed to making more Star Wars games. We're very excited about Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order from Respawn, and we'll share more about our new projects when the time is right.
So it is possible they have more than just this game in the works.
Listen, if I fucking hope so.
I
mean,
think EA's too
I
big
honestly
not
hope
to.
not.
Well,
Personally,
I mean,
I hope they don't.
But all you're doing is really just like saying, okay, I'm gonna delay the inevitable. Like I'll play EA Star Wars games, right? Like I didn't buy
mean,
Battlefront 2, but so if the deal runs till 2022, and you say you hope not, that means you're not going to get a Star Wars game until after 2022.
That's okay.
Plus 5 years for
Look,
another development
the way
cycle on
they've
another studio.
the way they've handled the two Battlefront games has not been ideal for, I want to say, the Star Wars fan base.
I don't disagree with you, but you're like, I will take their attempt on a Star Wars property outside of the Battlefront property to see how another
I trust
portion of
Respawn.
EA.
Like I trust whatever Respawn's working on is going to be very cool. Titanfall 2 was an awesome game. It was very fun.
Right.
But the way they've handled the way Battlefront has gone, it doesn't give me hope that EA knows exactly how to manage these studios. Like they got rid of Amy Hennig, a person they hired her to make an Uncharted Star Wars game, right? A cool narrative, linear game that would be probably fun to play. She's a great narrative designer, and they got rid of it and they tried to shift it into something else, and then they're like, oh, well, I guess this isn't a thing. So, sorry, Diamond, go ahead. I don't know what kind of point I was making.
So I want to add some clarification before we start putting opinions on it. As of 10:17. So as of 30 minutes ago,
That's tonight.
Yeah. When EA's top decision makers looked at their roadmap for the next few years, they decided they needed something earlier than the planned release date for Lorca, which was going to be around 2020, which also happens to be around the time that next gen consoles were around the time to launch. They want something sooner. So if we're taking that at face value, what I'm assuming is that Amy Hennig's project and this project were slated for the new generation of consoles. And EA looked at that timeline and said, we want something sooner. The time wasn't going to be arrived, and therefore they've moved forward with it. The other thing to be mindful of is that EA has apparently not laid anyone off as a part of the process. Everyone is still in the same positions they were in before. Now, depending on what content they're working on is a different story entirely. But that was as of a half an hour ago. So whether that skews the perception of it, to Locke's point, the idea that EA apparently made this decision because they wanted more Star Wars content sooner rather than later. Unless that's a reaction to the backlash from Battlefront 2, that kind of makes sense. That they want something else to refresh the palette other than more Battlefront content.
We don't know what else they have working on in terms of Star Wars that we don't know about, that we're not getting reports on, that isn't ending.
Only Respawn and only that. Yeah,
they could have ended this. They could have paused this, but the point could have been to shift people over to get whatever is there or almost there out sooner, like the executives wanted. Maybe that's something that's going on.
See, that also kind of concerns me, because they do have a habit of forcing games out of the oven too early, if you know what I mean. And it almost feels like the first Battlefront felt like a half-baked product. People wanted ground to space combat like they did in the original ones.
Bungie launched that shit September 2014.
Yeah, I mean it's the cycle that EA is trying to push. What were you gonna say, Felix?
I was just going to ask Neo a question.
What's up?
Neo, have you ever played a good EA game? I have.
Yeah, I have. The Dead Space series was great. I love that series a lot. Actually, they progressively got kind of toward the end there, but
it's some point in the history of EA, there was a game that they published.
Yes,
there was a Harry Potter Quidditch sports game that was dope.
Look, when it comes to EA,
it's possible that they could make something good with Star Wars.
Right, but here's the thing. EA has this history of acquiring really talented studios, like really, really good stuff, and then they just kill them straight up after they don't.
Pandemic. They killed
Pandemic, Maxis. Like I could literally go on if I pulled up a list of everything that there's like memes of all the, they're like the Grim Reaper of game studios at this point when they don't hit those
I'll never
hit those
get Saboteur
metrics.
2.
I know.
Twitch
I
World
played
Cup
Saboteurs also,
2003.
man. I loved it. It was a fun game at the time. EA does make good stuff, but the decisions they make, I feel like they don't mess with the developers the way they should, because what happens is you end up getting Dead Space, which is a fantastic title in its own right, stands on its own as a really good thing. Okay, so EA goes, wow, this is really popular. We're gonna push this. I want comics. I want TV shows. Let's get more games in there. All right, Dead Space 2 comes out. Great. They make a movie, like there's an animated movie, right? And they make this full push, and then they go, okay, we need that other game out in like 2 years. Right, Dead Space 3 comes out. All right, we need co-op in it. We need microtransactions in it. And then ultimately the game suffered campaign-wise because of these decisions. And I don't know if this is like the Bungie Activision conversation, if this is like just their decisions to do this, but in the end it's like ultimately forcing these developers into, doing things they don't want to do or not be creative. It shows in the work. Like Mirror's Edge is a good example, right? The new Mirror's Edge that came out like 3 years ago. Like it's just it's just a shame,
Yeah, it is a shame for sure. I mean, the people at the helm though, they're not gonna look at this and be like, man, I wish Amy had a chance to share her vision. They don't give a fuck, dude.
No, they
and
don't.
That's the sad part, Like they're looking at a calendar and they're going, "There's nothing to fill this gap. Get everyone the fuck off of this thing that's barely done." Get it out. We'll figure it out as we go along, but we need to have these blocks filled in because we're nearing this time where it's got to be done. That's what it is.
So do you think it's because like, okay, our contract is coming to an end, we need to put out more properties?
Yeah.
Do you think?
I mean, I think
that is just to make money for themselves. They're like, we need something to fill the space because there won't be.
You can't bank on the fact that Disney, right? Like Disney of all corporations is going to just like, because they shook your hand and made a deal with you 10 years ago, is going to do the same exact thing again. So if they're smart, they're going to try and push out content and make some money, because I think, well, I don't have numbers and I'm making assumptions. Battlefront 1 and 2 was probably commercially successful, right?
Yeah, probably.
Like long-term sustainability and how well it was received in the long run doesn't matter if it made them money, right? So if they can churn out an extra game while they have the rights to the IP, and that game makes them some money, then it's a win-win, right? So, and I mean that's probably what they're thinking.
And I don't, and from a business standpoint, don't disagree with that at all. Like that is what they got to do. Yeah.
I think. I think as fans, we're gonna lose our minds trying to sit in between the developer and a publisher. Look at sports and players that have been on teams for a long time, and then they're released from their team. And the thing that the player says all the time, or a majority of the time, is, well, I mean, it's a business. What are you going to do? Right. I have to accept the reality that EA is the biggest shark in the water, which means they are going to have the most ridiculous expectations that me as a player, I can't fathom. On the other side of it, even though I side with developers a lot, there's a deep-seated reality and a difference between when EA closes a studio because of some financial situation and when Telltale closes down because
mismanagement.
Mismanagement, right? So I have to figure out where I emotionally stand in this situation. EA is kind of the devil you deal with, right? It's there, it publishes games. It sucks to say that because there are so many developers that have just gotten caught underneath the tire treads of their stampeding cavalcade of vehicles that just go from point A to point B, from franchise to franchise. Amy Hennig just got an award, a Lifetime Achievement Award, and they were like, look, your Star Wars game's a great idea. It's got no place on our calendar. So you got to go. It sucks, but it's the reality of it.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's maximizing profits and minimizing risk.
That's what it's all about.
And
Yeah.
it
all doing it.
sucks as a fan of developers, but
Mm.
it's
I mean-
the reality of the business side that fans don't usually talk about.
Yeah, I mean, we're so used to like owning our games now, or like feeling involved in them and having a part of them. And they're such creative, immersive experiences that this shit, it hits closer to home than the normal corporate bullshit that companies go through. We're so keyed in that we just had these emotional reactions to it. Like, I'm right there with you. I'm right there with all of us about how we feel about this.
And
It sucks, but I mean, we're like I said, hyper keyed in to every movement, especially if it's an IP that we love because of, you know, XYZ.
Can I talk about something other than games for 2 seconds, close to Neo's heart? I had an emotional reaction recently because I didn't agree with when Sony decided to release the Spider-Man trailer. But I know why they
here
did.
we go. Yeah.
I know why they did
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
they don't feel there's going to be enough Spider-Man momentum post Infinity.
Exactly.
They just don't
Hmm.
think.
Yeah. It's what are you gonna do? Release a trailer 2 days after the movie comes out with like a after? No.
Yeah.
they gotta wrap
Get
that
that
up.
marketing push. Yeah.
Yeah. Sony doesn't care. Sony's gonna put it out there.
Yeah.
And it's like it's even more of a shame in this situation because now you're messing with the same IP that like people lost their mind over the Jedi. Like now you're messing with like a property that it's not just gamers that adore them, like it's fans, and those fans become gamers when a Star Wars game comes out. Imagine how many Star Wars fans that didn't play video games went out and bought Battlefront.
Probably a lot.
Like,
A whole lot.
Probably a lot. So now you're bringing people in that don't even get how the industry works. They just go, I'm playing a Star Wars game. I can't get in a ship and fly up to space. What is going on? Right?
Right.
So like it's a different audience, and it sucks, but you know.
So let me ask you guys this: do you think Disney does step in and reclaim back the Star Wars license from EA? Because my guess would be, or my hope, I should say, my hope would be, is that Disney starts developing Star Wars games in house. They just take upon.
What studio's
They
going to do
won't.
it? They already closed their gaming studio.
They could.
Yeah,
They could
shut down Infinity. Yeah.
What about LucasArts Part 2?
Oh God.
But
They're-
why? But why?
they're
I'm just
probably
because
at-
they have
they're
so
probably
much
at the
money.
point-
They
Yeah,
could
but
just
why-
open their own
why-
studio.
Yeah,
they're
but
not
why
going
do
in-house.
that?
They're not going to in-house it.
Or-
Why would you, like,
But what about
Attract
contracting
talent
it to
and-
other developers, other
Yeah,
studios?
yeah, I already. I'm going to call it right now.
Go ahead.
2023.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ready?
All right,
when
mark
the
it, guys.
contract
Mark it.
ends.
Why would Why would Destiny? Why would Disney look at their financial situation and go, let's cut into our profit
Yeah.
to get a company to make the game when EA is going to foot the bill entirely, and they're
Hmm.
happy to do it, regardless of whether it's good or not.
Yeah.
And they'll
EA will
probably
pro-
go
yeah.
to Disney and go, "Hey, look at what we did." Let's
in
do it again."
actuality, I was going to talk to an alternate reality, which I'm going to get back to in a second.
I can't wait.
EA probably regains the rights. However,
Probably.
Hmm.
in 2023, you're going to find yourself sitting in a cantina in a Star Wars game. You're going to be in a cantina,
Painting me a picture.
right?
And it's none of this is going to matter.
And you're going to get to the credits of that cantina because you just finished a new amazing Star Wars game. And then what's going to pop up in the credits is you're going to see that this game was developed by CD Projekt Red.
Whoa!
And
No.
that is
No.
that is who's
Whoa.
going to, that is who is going to own
Absolutely.
the rights. That is
That's a
who is
hard
going.
no, but that's a nice
Absolutely
dream.
not.
That's
That's
a
a-
very
that's-
They're going to
dream.
be done with CD. They're going to be done with Cyberpunk, and their next major storytelling game is
Wow.
going to be a gritty Star Wars property.
All right, so now
Those,
you're being very idealistic right now.
Star Wars
Those-
2077, dude.
What's
Those
that?
property files are with Randy Pitchford's porn videos.
Uh,
Those got no
Deep.
business being there.
Deep in lock.
Deep it.
Listen, I just a man can hope.
I can dream. I know.
Hey,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, absolutely.
We're
I mean,
literally
in-house
just talking
thought
about
is-
Peacock fucking theater. I mean,
I mean,
I was
In-house
just
thought is nice, Neo, for sure, but like it's just too much of like a running cost they'd have to just invest from scratch into. Like
There's no-
attract
yeah.
people, build buildings, train, infrastructure.
No. Scratch that. What if they just contracted out games?
yeah, but they don't even. They could just sell their IP and get the same
Yeah.
brand recognition,
And they get to
It
do
doesn't even
no-
get a cut.
That's
Yeah.
all work they'd have
None
to
of
do
the
if
work.
they if they just sold, development or even publishing and worked on the concepts. They could just be like, you guys do this, we'll check up on you. We got like these quarterly calls, send us your like alpha videos and we'll make sure it's on the right path. That's all they're doing. Dude, they're making an alien planet right now in their Disney parks. That's what they excel at. Like you're Locke saying you're going to go sit at a cantina. I thought you were painting a picture of us going to these parks because that's the shit
too.
they're working on, dude. Like they're making this immersive living experience where like the shit you do on rides is going to be recognized by the people playing the actors, and you're going to be like called out for your high score or for this cool thing you did. Like they're making this immersive world for the park. And they don't care about the games. They want someone that's just not going to like be a drooling idiot with a line of code and a controller. They're like, this looks good, it sounds good, dope, dude.
If you want to know what Disney cares about, look at all the effort, to Tripp's point, that they're putting into the theme parks and the movies and all that stuff. Where's Split Second? Where's Disney Interactive? Where's Disney Infinity? Gone.
Yeah, you're right. They abandoned all that. Yeah.
Disney Quest was an interactive like attraction in downtown Disney, which is now what, Disney Springs or something.
Yeah.
All like video game and interactive based. That whole fucking thing
gone. I don't care. That's so low on the totem pole.
Yeah, it's fucking Disney, man.
Toss it to somebody.
Yeah.
The only issue is they tossed it to a publisher that nobody liked.
Right. That's what I'm saying, dude.
They were just the most convincing in the boardroom. Maybe we'll get someone more convincing in 2023, and we'll see how
someone from Activision was probably over there, and they'd be like, "Yo, let's sign a 10-year deal." And they said, "No, you'll abandon it."
Yo, we just fucking got this Destiny garbage off our backs. Let's do some Star Wars, baby. Talking to Mickey Mouse right now. They're trying to get it.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
All right, fellas. I think that is it, right? That is all of our news points for this evening.
I think that's
Hell
it.
yeah.
Dope.
Yeah.
Dope. So I know we talked about it in the chat, in our Discord chat. We want to talk a little bit about our plan for that bonus episode that we're thinking about doing. Should we plug that?
Go ahead.
So for the sake of Felix Hergood, and then also for us, we're gonna myself, Diamond, Neo, and Trip are going to be doing anywhere between a hour and a half to 2 hour specific episode on Destiny.
Give it a solid 2.
Probably 2 hours, where we'll probably be picking apart specifics of what we would like to see, where we think this split could go, and really drill in a lot more to the Activision Destiny split. And then just talk about Destiny as a property as a whole, and where we see year 3, where we see potentially what is a D3 look like, Destiny 3. So we're going to be recording that, and that's going to just be bonus material that'll come through on live stream and or in the feed. We don't have a plan yet for when that will be done, but you'll just see that drop into the feed. That will be coming.
We're going to call it Raid
I
Team
can
Chat.
edit that for you.
By the way. No, I'm kidding.
We're going to call it what?
Raid Team Chat, but...
Raid Team Chat. I love it.
No play on words at all from anyone else.
Yeah,
Nope.
you don't have to edit it. You're going to edit it too?
No, I can edit it.
All right.
I'm good with
What a
that.
good boy.
Dude, if you could make the picture
not
for us,
expecting that.
I would actually love that, dude.
You make some badass pictures.
If you guys out there don't know, Felix Herbut is the one who
Herbut.
does all of the pictures. What did I say? Did I not say her good?
I think he called me her boob.
I did not say her boob. Someone
It
may
was more like her. It was more like Herbut.
Herbut. Her good.
Felix
I
her boob.
swallowed the word.
There was no G in that at all.
Her goo. This beautiful
Herbut.
bearded boy.
Her goo.
He does all the pictures. I'm steering this car right the fuck back on the road as hard as possible. Every time you see an episode, it's him. He does this.
I do.
So
He does.
they're great,
He does.
dude. You do great work, and I'd love for you to do that for our Destiny one.
Yeah, well, I'll edit the whole show and do that as well.
Fantastic.
What a guy.
I'm good with
That's funny.
Cool. Well, let's I'm gonna sign off. This was Locke. You can find me on Twitter at Locke_key. Like I've said before, just follow me on Twitter. Everything you need you can find there for me personally. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you next week.
This is Trip Zero. Thank you guys for hanging out. All of my socials are Trip Zero TV, and I stream every weekday 12 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Mixer.com. Trip Zero TV.
This is Diamond Jab. You can catch me twitter.com/Diamond Jab, Instagram Diamond Jab, twitch.tv, mixer.com/Diamond Jab. I stream Monday through Thursday, 7 p.m. to midnight, which that'll be kicking back off on the 25th with the Anthem demo. But I'm taking some time off right now, which is nice. But yeah, Diamond Jab on all the subsequent platforms. You can find me there.
Awesome.
This is Felix Hergood, twitch.tv/Felix Hergood, mixer.com/Felix Hergood. I do a Mitch chat, which is 2 services at once. So yeah, check me out there. And my stream schedule is generally Wednesdays and Thursday mornings, but other mornings as well. I always do a morning show because I'm a morning person.
Very nice. I'm Neo Aoshi. You can find me at Twitter at Neo_Aoshi, Twitch at twitch.tv/NeoAoshi. End of the month, I plan on getting into Resident Evil 2 Remake. I want to stream that.
Oh, yeah, dude.
I am very excited for a trip. Oh, my God.
Wait, we didn't even I didn't talk about that. Did you play the one-shot demo?
You know what? I installed it on my PC and PS4, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to fucking wait.
I played it over at Kevin Oates' house.
It's good, right? It's good?
You had 30 minutes,
right?
Hard timer when you started this game, and then once you were done, you were done. I beat it. I actually got
nice.
the demo.
Damn, now I kind of want to try it.
Flat. It was 25-0-0. Beat the demo.
So please look forward to that.
It's fucking scary.
I'm so excited, man.
If you
pumped.
played 7, there's a lot of the same systems, even though it's third person. The way the menus work, the way the aiming guns, exploration works. So
cool. We'll hop into that later, I'm sure. Yeah. Also,
so fun.
Follow us at Twitter, the Emergent Gamer Twitter. That's what is that? Emergent_Gamer on Twitter.
Yes.
Emergent_Gamer on Twitter. Follow this twitch.tv/Emergent_Gamer, and on Mixer at mixer.com/Emergent_Gamer. And thank you to the OG Podcast Network for hosting the show.
Thank you, OG.
For supporting the show.
Brought to you by the OG.
So thank you, everybody.
Awesome.
All right.
See you next week.
We'll catch you guys next week. Later.
See ya.
guys.
Got my Nature's Wick weathered wood candle right here.
Oh, wow. I should light my candle.
It's got one of those wicks that are wood, and then it creates a crackling sound.
Nice.
It's very. I think you can probably hear it.
Pour some wax out for the homies.
Can you hear that? Is that coming through? I was like, hold the flame under my fucking microphone like a real professional.